Well, 2021, I'm sure many of us are glad that 2020 is over. As I think for most of us, it was a more difficult year than is usual. With the beginning of a new year, I wonder how many of us made a New Year's resolution, something to change about ourselves or to strive for. There's a real desire in us to improve ourselves and to make changes. It's as if we recognise our own imperfections and desperately want to fix them. We'd want to transform ourselves into a new and better version. Sometimes we succeed at this and sometimes we don't. I have no doubt that there are many people, even some watching now, who've already failed with a New Year's resolution that they made only a few weeks ago. Transformation is hard. The Bible also talks about transformation. In 2 Corinthians 3:18, Paul talks about how we're being transformed into the image of Christ. This is a process which starts when we first accept Jesus as our Saviour, and it's a work that continues on and is not completed until Jesus returns again. So everyone, therefore, here that's listening or who is in our church is in that process of transformation. Transformation sounds like a good thing in principle, but the unfortunate truth is that transformation can be a really hard process. Just ask those members of us who, as their New Year's resolution has been to get fit, how those first 2 weeks at the gym have gone. While the goal is a good thing to achieve, the process and the body will be giving a price to pay for that. So transformation into the image of Christ often involves us being disciplined by God too. And this discipline is often not a pleasant thing. It may come in the form of hardship, of loss, or even just not getting the places or doing the things that we want to do, as God sometimes does say no. Hebrews 12 talks about how God disciplines us and how it's an act of love and that it helps us to grow. In verse 11, Paul talks about how discipline is not pleasant at the time, but later on produces a harvest. And that's the point of transformation as a Christian, is to be fruitful and to produce a harvest. This is not for ourselves, as we see transformation talked about in a worldly sense, but our job or our aim is to produce kingdom work and kingdom fruit. There's a lot of imagery in the Bible that speaks of gardening and fruit, which really resonates with me because I'm a really keen gardener and particularly love growing fruit trees. I spend quite a bit of time tending the trees, pruning them and watering them, much to my husband Josh's disgust at times, I'm not going to lie to you. But the aim of that is to produce a really good quality fruit, grow a good tree and maximise my fruit production. The Bible also talks about pruning and fruit production in John 15 verses 1 and 2. Jesus is talking about how God prunes. It says in verse 2 that he cuts off every branch that does not bear fruit, and while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. So as we move into 2021, I'd like to encourage you not to resist or view with resentment the disciplining and pruning and transforming work of God in your life. But to realise that sometimes, although uncomfortable, it's a really good process because we are being transformed into the image of Christ. So as an encouragement, don't resist the pruning work of God in your life. It's for your benefit. There is a harvest to come and we can trust God's plan and purpose. I look forward to hearing from you or from others the stories of how God's work in your life has produced harvest. Bye.